I've been hearing a lot of hype lately about eco-vinyl or environmentally friendly records. I've also been reading a lot of mixed reviews about the quality of these pressings. I gotta say, I knew nothing about eco-vinyl, but I wanted to find out, so I went out and I bought the new Billie Eilish record, which is being hyped as being super sustainable. And this is what I discovered. Alright, check this out. According to MPO, the company that pressed this Billie Eilish record, eco-vinyl represents a major advance in the record industry. Unlike traditional vinyl produced from petroleum-based PVC, eco-responsible vinyl uses recycled materials or bio-sourced PVC. MPO said this leads to reduced waste, less dependence on fossil fuels, and fewer CO2 emissions. According to Billie Eilish's website, her last album, Hit Me Hard and Soft, was released on 8 variants of vinyl. The standard black variant, which I bought right here, is made from 100% recycled vinyl. Again, according to Billie Eilish's website, all the vinyl packaging was made from recycled paper. The ink used for the cover and for the insert was raw, plant-based, and water-based. And in place of shrink wrap, the sleeves are 100% recycled and reusable. That's basically this plastic sleeve that the record came in. In the back it says, let's see right there, made in France. And there's the sticker here that says, Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard, Hit Me Soft, which is the name of the album.
Channel 33. RPM.
So I did some digging, and what I learned and I found super interesting is that right now there's a ton of demand for more environmentally sustainable records, particularly among the demographic that buys Billie Eilish records, right? Kind of the, what they call a Gen Z. So I got some stats here. A recent survey by a music production company in the UK called Key Production found that 71% of Gen Z are willing to pay a small premium for records produced with a proven reduced impact on the planet. Looking further into the same survey, it found that the average record listener does not perceive additional value in thicker 180-gram vinyl over 140-gram vinyl. And the conclusion to the study states, we would suggest these findings could underscore a shift in consumer preferences towards more sustainable and environmentally friendly options in the music industry. The study also states, from an environmental perspective, 140-gram vinyl should be promoted as the industry standard. They're advocating to have thinner records because there's less materials and less bad stuff for the environment. The document goes on to say that finding an alternative to traditional shrink wrap is also seen as being of importance for all our stakeholders, which is why you got this kind of stuff on the Billie Eilish record instead of shrink wrap. Personally, I like shrink wrap. But whatever, that's me. So if you're to believe these findings, it leads me to believe that eco-vinyl is not only here to stay, but it's going to grow in popularity in the coming years, which brings me, again, to this example of eco-vinyl I bought, the new Billie Eilish record, Hit Me Hard and Soft. So I bought this. I bought it from Amazon because Amazon has a good return policy, and I figured if this sucks, I can return it and not burden a local record store with that. And it wasn't cheap, man. I bought this for $50 Canadian, $49 Canadian, which was equal to roughly $35 US. And I bought it despite a bunch of reviews I was reading online about how awful this particular pressing is. Actually, all the pressings, all the variants of this album. But as I said, I bought the black one. So a few comments here on Discogs I checked out. This one says, yikes, returning this standard black. A-side came out scuffed and with the ridiculous noise floor that made it sound like it had been worn out from 1,000 plays. I saw that. I wasn't feeling too good about this record, which hadn't spun yet. Next comment says, believe the hype, this is easily the worst pressing in my collection. So to say my curiosity was piqued about this record would be an understatement. The cover itself, because this is supposed to be printed or manufactured using plant-based inks. I guess it looks a little dull, maybe. It's not sharp and crisp, but I'm not sure if that's the way it was intended to be or if that's a result of the printing process. I don't know. And the cardboard, it feels a little different than what I usually see. There's the gatefold. Inner sleeve is a lot more crisp and clean for whatever reason. But let me pull out the record. Out of the jacket, I saw a lot of imperfections in the playing surface and a lot of particles, like fine paper particles. So I ran the record through my Humming Guru ultrasonic record cleaner, which cleaned it up a bit. It got rid of all the dust and particles, but you can still see a lot of imperfections in the record. You probably can't tell on the screen, but it's like little markings all over the place. It's kind of weird. I haven't really seen anything like that before. Not that there's any like bumps on here or anything. It's just, it doesn't look like a solid piece of vinyl, which I guess makes sense considering it's made from scraps or leftover pieces of PVC or vinyl. I think it's PVC that was used to press other records. So I threw this record on my turntable. I gotta say, I was expecting the worst, especially considering all those bad reviews I read, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. That said, my expectations were super low. I expected this record to sound like a cement truck on vinyl, and it wasn't quite that bad. It wasn't excellent either. There was a lot of surface noise on this record. I would compare it maybe to a picture disc from the 1970s or 1980s. Those picture discs didn't sound good. They had a lot of surface noise. And this record had a similar amount, or has a similar amount of surface noise. It's not the worst sounding record I've ever heard. The worst sounding record I've ever bought was a glow-in-the-dark record, and that sounded horrible. This one didn't sound as bad as that, but there is a lot of surface noise on it. And as the reviews stated, the record was quieter than I expected. And at first I thought maybe because they tried to put too much music on one record, but the runtime of this record is 44 minutes, which should fit on one record, no problem. So that wasn't the issue. So for whatever reason, there is a fair amount of surface noise on this record, and the pressing is quieter, at least compared to the other records in my collection. So not horrible, but for $50, I do expect a dead quiet record. I'm paying a premium, but in this case, I paid a premium because this was pressed on environmentally sustainable vinyl. I love innovation and applaud anyone who tries new things, but if eco-vinyl is the future of vinyl, the pressing plants still have some work to do to improve the sound quality of these records, especially if we're going to pay a premium for it. In the meantime, there are other ways to be an environmentally conscious record collector. One of those is to buy vintage pressings, because you are essentially recycling records, recycling vinyl, when you buy used or vintage records. Of course, that's not an option for new releases like the new Billie Eilish record. As for Billie Eilish, I was going to give this record to my 16-year-old daughter. While the pressing isn't as horrible as I expected, it's still not great either. I did not feel like I got my $50 worth. So it's going back to Amazon. All right, 33ers, have you tried eco-vinyl? What was your experience like? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, keep on spinning.